Congressman George Santos is rejecting calls for him to step down, even though some of the loudest voices demanding them are from his Republican colleagues in his own state. The newly elected New York lawmaker has admitted to making up parts of his background while running for office. He's also the target of a federal investigation and a House ethics complaint. Here's what Santos told reporters as they followed him through the halls of Congress.
Congressman, what's your reaction to members of your own party calling for your resignation?
If the voters ask for you to resign, will you resign if the voters
If 142 people ask for me to resign, I'll resign.
A spokesperson for Santos clarified he was referring to the 142,000 people who voted for him. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins me now. Scott, you have been getting your steps in with the congressman, chasing him, trying to get him to answer. This is his first week on the job. How's he balancing his duties and his duty to answer these questions?
Yeah, the first week in a new job is always going to be difficult. New surroundings, new colleagues, new challenges. But perhaps no one at any time, at any place, has had a first week on the job like Congressman George Santos of Long Island. He has been surrounded in this fishbowl on Capitol Hill by dozens of media cameras, reporters asking him questions about his future, his backstory, and whether he's going to resign. He insists he's not going to resign, but this has, to put it mildly, John, disrupted the start of his new job. And the question remains tonight, how long will he last? There are now 5 U.S. House Republicans from New York, from his home state, all calling for his resignation, not Democrats, his fellow Republicans. A 6th Republican, Nancy Mace from South Carolina, has joined that group. And now, perhaps the more treacherous part for Congressman Santos, House leaders, the Republican leadership, are being asked about whether George Santos should remain. At this moment in time, John, Republican House leaders want to talk about their new agenda, their first slate of bills, the new messaging bills they've all passed over the past week. Instead, they're being asked about Mr. Santos, which does fray these new relationships in this new job.
On the other hand, House leaders and Speaker McCarthy know that he has a very, very slim majority, and you'll explain why that's so important here, because what would happen if Santos were, in fact, to resign?
But the bottom line political calculus is clear. Congressman Santos won a district on Long Island that President Biden won overwhelmingly in 2020, which means if that seat were open for a special election, not only could Democrats be favored, but they'd be running in a special election in the trail of George Santos, which may increase their odds even more. So to say it's a vulnerable seat for Republicans is a bit of an understatement. That one reality aside, John, let's look at who benefits with George Santos sticking around a little while longer. Republican leaders who are navigating this precarious majority in which 4 or 5 votes could determine everything. And George Santos, so far, has pledged himself to be a loyal vote for Kevin McCarthy. Congressman Santos seemingly benefits in some way with sticking around. It's a paying job. It's a job many people seek. So it's something he may want to try to keep if he can. And to a degree, John, Democrats are benefiting from this. He is a punching bag for them politically. They have made theater to a degree of George Santos's very bad week. He can be villainized. He can be a caricature of Republicans, and that suits the minority party quite well as they seek the one thing minority parties always seek, to eventually become the majority.
Well, you know, you mentioned this punching bag business. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries spoke about that. Let's listen to what he had to say, and I want to ask you about it on the other side.
Well, the spectacle that is George Santos speaks for itself. He's a complete and total fraud. This is not a partisan issue, but it is an issue that Republicans need to handle. Clean up your house.
Okay, so that's the least surprising thing on planet Earth, that the Democrats would take advantage of this. But, Scott, just because it's obvious doesn't mean that it might not be a challenge for Republicans as they're trying to get out of the starting blocks here.
One thing that struck me today, John, beyond what Leader Jeffries said, is the thing we didn't expect. George Santos, after 6 days of refusing to answer questions, finally sat down for an interview in front of a camera. And it was on the conservative video podcast program, typically hosted by Steve Bannon. The substitute host was Matt Gaetz, the Republican who was all part of that holdup of Speaker McCarthy's votes last week. And they spoke about how Republicans in Congressman Gaetz and Santos's minds are villainized by the media and how you have to be strong to withstand the scrutiny Congressman Santos is withstanding right now. They didn't dig into the issues of his backstory, of his finances, of his campaign donations, but it's a statement. It's a political statement, John. He is, to a degree, cozying up with Matt Gaetz. They may not have been politically aligned before the election or before this controversy, but now there is the potential that George Santos may seek safe harbor with the Freedom Caucus or those on the farther right of the Republican conference, just as a survival skill, forming an alliance like you would on the TV show Survivor.
You got to make friends where you can find them. Scott MacFarlane, thank you.